Hello, I'm Artifacts of Mars, and I'm going to try this on my phone, so using my video camera to save time, if it works at all. Anyway, wanted to discuss these my illness and these toxic fogs. Some people are under the impression that it's where I live it's made me sick. But here's what I figured out. On January 1st, 2025, I was looking at one of those toxic fogs. Stuck my head outdoor foolishly, took my video camera and started filming. Bear in mind, I'm a little foggy on dates, but I know I have this right. Within 2 days, I was in the hospital. At the hospital, getting checked out for an illness. And it was really weird. They weren't able to find any kind of pathogen or any cause for my illness. Now, if you remember, back in late 2024, there was this slap about toxic fogs and that kind of thing. And it happened that I wasn't taking it all that serious. When people were getting sick from these. Well, like I said, it took 2 days and I got sick. Fast forward to August, and I'm sitting at my chair, goofing off on the computer, and I sneeze, and I feel a sharp pain in my side. I believe that's when I actually broke a rib. I started coughing really badly. And before you know it, I was in the hospital with pneumonia. Then I went to Thompson's Hospital in Canandaigua. Okay? And I forget how many days I spent there, like 2 or 3 or whatever. They were unable to find any trace of any pathogen. Now, we're talking 8 months after the January thing. They were unable to find any trace of any pathogen. So I get out of there, and it wasn't long. I think it was only a few days. If memory serves, I don't have that good of memory. If memory serves, I was back in there again. I think the first day was for 1 day or something. I can't remember. At any rate, I was back in there again, and then I spent a few days, and then I wound up, I went to work one day, and I thought I was doing all right, and I wound up being carted by ambulance to the hospital, Strong Memorial. And there I spent a substantial amount of time. I had pneumonia, which they could not diagnose. They could not find the pathogen. Again. And, the ribs were just excruciating. Broken ribs. I still have a rib that's out of shape. It's not really causing me any trouble. So I'm not going to mess with it. But, sufficient to say I was in agony. They finally wound up draining out my chest cavity because I had a hematoma, and they found out my left chest cavity got filled up with, turned out mostly blood. So they had to drain me out. They had to put a tube in me and drain me out. But again, I was tested for 7 different viral forms of pneumonia, including that infernal flu from China. I said flu. I had that disease. I had all the symptoms of the flu. I didn't have the symptoms of coronavirus. It's the flu. I will not back down on that statement. I made this statement before. So I had this pneumonia. They couldn't find anything. They went through 7 different viruses that are known to cause pneumonia. Nothing. They didn't find any bacteria either. It took me a while because I've been recuperating, but finally figured out the two are related. My illness from the fog and my illness from whatever in last August, I figured out the two must be related. I've never had any weird illnesses like these before. Not like these. And man, you wouldn't believe the ordeal I went through. And to you religious people, you're so sure there's a God and that he cares? Take a trip through a hospital sometime. Look at the patients lying there in agony. What's your God doing about it? Well, anyway, so what I figured out is the two must be related. And we don't have a government that seems to want to level up with us and tell us what's going on. But as for me, if anybody out there wants to call me a conspiracy theorist, you're not going to change my mind. I'm not going to change my statement. You will piss me off. That's what you'll do. That's exactly what you'll do, is you'll piss me off if you call me a conspiracy theorist. Right? This is not about conspiracy. This happened to me. I got sick. I got sick from that fog. And to this day, I have had no diagnosis of any germ in my body. And I had a weird pneumonia. I didn't have the gobs of goo you might expect. It was more watery and stringy. Like I said, I haven't had one single diagnosis other than they said community-acquired pneumonia. It doesn't tell me anything. They couldn't find any known pathogen. So watch out for those toxic fogs. I've heard there's trouble with that again. You could have a problem with this. I would definitely, I don't know. It's been foggy for the last night and day here. So far, I haven't had any problems. But like I said, I did photograph that weird fog myself. And I believe the people who are putting these videos up. I have no doubt they're right. So anyway, that's about it. That's my statement. I believe the two are related. I believe that I contracted something from that fog and probably laid dormant in my body for months after initially sickening me. That's how I wound up in the hospital. I don't believe the two are unrelated. And I'm still not in the greatest of shape when I'm able to work, fend for myself. My ribs feel a little weird, but other than that, I'm doing halfway okay. And then one rib is visibly misshapen. But I'm not going to do anything with it as long as there's nothing to do with it. It's really not bothering me much. That's my statement. I believe the toxic fogs and the illness I had later on in the year are probably related, right together. Call me a conspiracy theorist if you want, but you're only going to piss me off. That's all you'll do. You won't change my mind. I'm Artifacts Mars. Thank you for your attention. And I will see you some other time. Next time I think I'll use my video camera.